And welcome back to another video by Camroom 5. Our today's video is regarding biology, where we will be seeing how biology paper 4s can be assessed. So you can see in the bottom right, paper 4 alternative to practical is a 1-hour exam. It has 40 marks, 20% of the total biology 5090 weightage. And it's going to be assessing all your AO3 objectives, which are practical objectives. So let's talk about what this paper 4 biology means for us. It will have all AO3 assessment objectives. What does it mean? What is AO3? AO3 means assessment objectives AO and then 3, which means all the practical related assessment objectives. It normally has 4 questions. So normally it has, on an average, it has 3 to 4 questions. 3 to 4 questions. Question 1 is regarding an experimental data. You don't have to create the experiment here. An experimental data is given, which is already given, and then they ask you to find average values, average of recorded values. They can ask you for difference between recordings. They can ask you to estimate missing recordings. So you have to figure out what could be the best trend that is followed here. Then, for example, they can ask you for the names of apparatus that might have been used for a certain experiment. They can ask you to add values like difference, taking differences normally for temperatures. They can ask you to find out, now that is interesting, they can ask you to find out sources of error in a certain experiment, and they can ask you to suggest improvements. I'm just introducing the concept, that's why I'm not going into the detail of each assessment objective, but these are the things that they can ask, and we'll talk about all these in detail. Question 2, generally, it's not a very fixed pattern, it can be more or less different. So it's average, it's like normal pattern, but it can be deviated. It's not like fixed pattern. In question 2, what happens is that they ask you to draw, or perhaps they can ask you for a drawing or analysis of a pictomicrograph. So what's a pictomicrograph? Pictomicrograph has a tissue or a cell studied under an electron microscope, and now you are analyzing it. So they can ask for drawing, they can ask for a pictomicrograph, they can ask for making a large drawing, they can also ask for magnification over here, which has its own formula, and that is something we'll also talk about. They can also ask for measuring the size of a specimen, so measuring size of specimen using the grid method. So we'll talk about that also. Then another thing very important over here for us is graphical analysis. Normally question 3 involves designing an experiment. So how you will do an experiment, designing an investigation as they call it. In designing an investigation, you have to talk about how you'll do it, and that is something very important for us because in chemistry they also do that. So we'll be talking about that. Plus, they can also ask for graphical analysis. Don't forget that graphical analysis or analysis of a bar graph or histogram, could also be here in the first question. It is very much possible. So that is how your biology paper 4 works. To give you a very good estimate, let me show you something. I have some exams over here, so I'll go to the yearlies, biology 5090, and let's suppose I'll pick an exam from, let's suppose the most one recent exam, winter 22. So here you can see question 1 gives you the information about an experimentation. It talks about yeast, microorganism. It gives you I'm just looking at this question very superficially, and you can see there are some data values over here. It is giving you some percentages, composition and stuff. And now when you see, it is asking you to fill the data by obviously the data from the background question, from the background information. Then you have to describe the trend. Then you have to explain the trend. Here you can see the apparatus is also used, and you have to look at the apparatus and you have to figure out what temperature is here, because that's a thermometer obviously. Then if you continue, so it's asking how you will create an investigation, if you notice part 2. So investigation is not necessarily question 3, it could be anywhere, but the point is it has to be there, and it's most likely a very important part of your upcoming examination. In question 2 you can see you are given some data and graphical analysis is there. You can see you have to find the mean, so that is average. Then you have to suggest the reasoning for something. If you continue, you can see a pictomicrograph is there. So see here it's coming in question 3. Again, it's not a very fixed pattern, right? The idea is that you should be prepared for all of these. Then you can see a pictomicrograph. You have to make a larger drawing of it. You have to find the magnification of it. You have to find the actual length of it. So these are the things that you guys should be prepared about. Now, based on this information, in the upcoming videos, we will be solving some past paper questions. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks.